Well, hello. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? Hope you're well, but I hope you're ready for some hard times because I think some hard times are coming. If you're for the people over on Patreon, I put up the old Creedence song "Bad Moon Rising" because I think bad moon is rising. We're going to be seeing more of it here real quick. Before we get to that, because I want to talk about yesterday's or was it the day before? I forget. I'm in the middle of editing my seventh book, so time gets away from me. But I think it was yesterday I put up one about revolution. I want to expand on things a little bit more because we are coming to a time here that I think is going to be among the most interesting and challenging and perhaps dangerous in the history of our country. So we're going to talk about that. Before I get into that, I have a major announcement for the people on YouTube. The people on Patreon have already been told about this and they've already started registering. The first annual Integrative Preparedness / Stonemont Summer Gathering is going to be on July 13th in Lenexa, Kansas. That's on the west side of the Kansas City area in the state of Kansas. It's a real nice area. And it's going to be on July 13th. And if you'd like to come, you need to register. I'll tell you how to do that in a minute. But the reason you need to register, it doesn't cost anything, except gas to get here. The reason you need to register is I need to know how many people are coming because we're going to have to cut it off at 150. It's in a real nice place, real nice park, real nice shelter house, big grills and camp or fire pits, and there's a lake close by for fishing and all sorts of things. It's going to be all day from about, probably 11 in the morning till 8 or 9 at night. And I also need to know how many people are coming because of this. The official mug for the first annual Stonemont Integrative Preparedness Summer Gathering. Tell me that's not beautiful. Is that not beautiful? And I'm going to print one of these up for everybody who is registered so everybody who wants one can get one when they come to the gathering. On the front is the emblem of the gathering. On the back, it is what it says, prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Semper Paratus. Semper Paratus is, of course, means always ready, always prepared. It is the motto of Stonemont, and it's how I sign all of my books. There is one thing about this mug, and for everybody who comes, they can get one of these mugs. I'm going to keep the price down to $10 a piece because most of our mugs always sell for $25 each on the website. But since I don't have to pay shipping and I'm not building in any profit or anything like that, we're going to keep these down to $10 for everybody so that everybody who wants one can get one or two. But you'll need to register. There is one thing I don't like about the. Well, let me put it this way. I love this mug, but I'm going to love it more when I change something about it. And that is, you'll notice that on all of our mugs, I always put a sidebar down here. Okay. And I forgot to do that on this. This is a test mug. I always keep the test mug. And I will be adding that on there. It's going to make it look even cooler. Okay. So that's that. So yeah, everybody who you'll need to register, go to the Stonemont website at stonemont.us, not .com, stonemont.us. And there will be, you can see up there, it'll say shop and books, or it's where you can buy our t-shirts and all my books and everything like that too. But there's a tab that says events. Go to the events tab. It'll take you where you can register. Okay. That being said, let me take a sip out of my old Stonemont mug for just a minute. And let's get started. I talked yesterday, or whenever it was that I made that, about the possibility of revolution and how I think we're closer to a revolution than we've ever been since the revolution. And the reason for that is because I have never seen in all the time since the 60s, since I started paying attention, I have never seen such a separation in the different sides in our country. Political, all sorts of things. I mean, not just political, moral. I mean, we have such a division in this country. I don't think there's any coming back from it. And we're approaching some very important dates. Did you see, and I'll tell you, the outpouring of support for Trump is unlike anything that I've ever seen. I mean, Reagan pales in comparison to what we're seeing, the outpouring for Trump in this. And there's a lot of reasons for it. A lot of people just love Trump and think he did a lot of good things for the country. I am one of those. I don't love him, but he did a lot of good things for the country. A lot of people are just come over to him because they understand he has revealed, this persecution of him has revealed the depth of the corruption in our country. Okay, so this is causing that separation. And did you see that since his verdict, they have raised over $200 million? That's unheard of. That gives you an idea of the strength of support and the depth of the support and the depth of a commitment to Trump by those who support him. You don't see that on the other side. The other side, you see other things, right? But anyway, we're going to see a couple of important dates coming up. His sentencing is going to be, I believe, June 11. That's going to be interesting. And it doesn't matter which way it goes, it's going to give us an indication of what's to come. And it could become more dangerous at that point. The next one is, and I forget what date this is exactly, but it's the Democrat National Convention in Chicago. And I've said before that all this stuff is reminding me of 1968. And when the Democrats had their convention in Chicago, and it was the summer of riots all across the country. And it was really when so many people on the left turned against the Democrat Party because the left was really, really becoming, they were starting to become what they are now. And the people who were the wackos back then are teaching our colleges now. Did you see, and then the left starts fighting itself. This is what I said yesterday, that very often after a revolution, civil wars start because they have overthrown an existing power, but now the different factions are fighting amongst themselves. Did you see how what the big Pride parade? By the way, this is Pride Month. You all knew that, I'm sure that. Did you know that? Did you happen to see, if you're on our Patreon channel, you did, that the U.S. Navy SEALs put up on their Facebook page celebrating Pride. They wanted everybody to know how proud they are of Pride Month and how they are, totally supportive of that and all. You can see that on their Facebook page, or you can see that on our Patreon page, or however you like to. It's good to know what people and organizations support. Don't you agree? So that was, I think that's important for us to know. Yes, I know it's not most of the guys. I know it's the leadership. I know it's the bureaucracy, but that's what determines the direction of an organization. Simple as that. Okay. So we're going to see, did you see where the Pride Parade was interrupted by the pro-Palestinian parade? Wasn't that interesting? Did you see that? Violence is going to erupt. Now we're going into several months leading up to the election of what I think is going to be increasing violence. Throughout the summer, I've said this before, it's going to be a violent summer. And when we get close to the election, I think it's going to be like something we've never seen before. And then, no matter who wins, I mean, I don't know how long it will take them to declare a winner, but it doesn't matter who wins. That's when the circus really starts. And when it ends, I don't see it ending. Because this country is now divided in such a way, I don't think it can ever come back together. And that breeds more violence. Violence begets violence, right? Now, what this means to you is that you need to be prepared to handle it. And of course, we talk about total preparedness. I talk about total preparedness, and there are people who say you can't be total prepared, in which I respond, well, you haven't read my books, because I wrote a whole series of books, the Stonemont series, about how to become totally prepared. It's not possible for everybody, because it's not possible for those who think that it's impossible. Okay. A person who, we set our own limitations. A person who says something can't be done, they're not going to do it because they're not going to try because they don't think it can be done. Just like the 4-minute mile. Nobody broke the 4-minute mile until Roger Bannister did, and then all of a sudden a bunch of people were breaking the 4-minute mile. Okay. So you have to have that belief in yourself. And you have to have that commitment. And you have to have that sense of responsibility to say that you understand it's up to you to provide for your own safety and security. And that includes being prepared for whatever may come along, right? Okay. You know the basics. You know the food, the water, the security, the shelter, and the friends, the group of people. You know those things. Let me ask you this. If this goes down the way that it very possibly could, and that means that increasing violence starts sometime June or July, and then it keeps increasing, are you prepared for that? Are you prepared for shortages that could occur in your store? Now people who live in smaller towns or rural areas, you're probably not as threatened by the large violence as those who live in the cities and suburbs. But you could be you could experience disruptions in supplies. Okay, when things erupt in the cities, the major distribution centers, right? Most of them are around the cities. Are you prepared for that? You have to be prepared for that. So no matter where you live, small town, rural, suburbs, city, are you prepared for when your store doesn't have everything you need? You need to be prepared. How do you be prepared? You take a look at everything that you use on a daily basis and you say, I'm going to build up until I don't have to leave the house for 6 months. Okay, everything. Food, water, medicines, soap, whatever. You know what you use. Make sure that you are self-sustaining for a period of time, and then continue to build that time out. Somebody asked me the other day, because if you've been with me very long, you know that I always suggest 7 years. Well, that comes from the story of Joseph in the Bible, and most people don't fully understand the story of Joseph. I've talked about it. I'm not sure if I talked about it here or on the church channel. People think that was the lesson of Joseph was a lesson of preparedness. It's not. It was a lesson of government preparedness and the enslavement of the people by the government and the people who were not prepared. I'll talk about that. I'll do another one on that in the next week or so for those of you who are new and haven't heard me talk about that, because it's a very, very important lesson. So anyway, I always suggest 7 years. Have 7 years of what you need. Be able to last 7 years without resupply. Somebody says, how in the world do you do that? Well, a little bit at a time. The old saying, the longest journey begins with a single step. You take that step and then you take another step. The longest journey is one next step after the next. Okay, build up and build up. Now, I had somebody ask me just the other day, I said, well, I can understand how you could prepare, you could stock up 2 or 3 years, but how do you do 7 years? It's not complicated. The things that you have 2 to 3 years supply of, get more. I know that seems like a very unsatisfactory answer, but it is the answer. Get more. If you stock them right, and it's canned goods and dry goods and sugar and the basics, pasta, rice, beans, that's all you do. You just keep buying more and stocking more, and you stock them in a way that they will last. Canned goods will last you 100 years. I don't care what they tell you. So get more. And I know it's a matter of being able to afford it, but get what you can. But that's the only answer. So often people overcomplicate things. How do you go from 2 years stocking to 7 years? You buy more. That's all there is to it. And you need to be thinking about that now. When we talk about the dangers that are coming, it's because we have to realize that in this volatile political climate and the hatred the degree of hatred that exists between different sides, violence can erupt anywhere at any time. And you could be stuck in the middle of it. I keep referring to the riots of 1968. We lived in the suburbs, but my mother and father worked in the city, and they had to drive home. And they were always having to plan their routes and when they left because of the different patterns of riots that were in Kansas City. You could turn a corner, everything looked fine, driving down the road, turn a corner, and all of a sudden the next block is in flames. People running all over the place, throwing rocks at cars, throwing Molotov cocktails, police down behind there, some unit of National Guard speeding past, and all of a sudden you're trapped. Okay. Think about and give some thought to this as we get into this season. They used to call this the silly season of politics. It's no longer a silly season at all. It's a violent season. It's a dangerous season. Take a look at your office and in your car. Do you have enough there? Do you have enough supplies, food, water, other things, whatever you may need, to be able to stay there for a while so you don't have to leave your office in case you need to wait it out until all the rioters go to sleep? You should have that. Don't take chances. I had a good friend of mine whose wife was a corporate lawyer downtown. I told him she needs to have the ability to protect herself, and she needs to carry, have supplies there, and she needs to have enough on her in case it takes her a week to get home. I was talking more of an EMP scenario than anything, and he thought, well, why? It's 20 miles. She can walk that in a day. I said, no, you don't understand. When you're trying to walk through violence, you're not just strumming along. You're hiding. You're not moving for hours. You're being careful. You're running into groups of people that you don't know who they are. Are they going to be helpful? Are they going to try to be hurtful? You need to be self-sufficient wherever you are, in your office, in your vehicle, at your home. Realize also that these things can flash anywhere. You might think that you live in a safe area. You don't know the targeting that might be in the minds of the opposition. Okay. Now, there are going to be safer areas than others, but just pay attention to that. Make sure that you have a constant eye on your security. Like I say, I think this doesn't stop in November. I think it continues from this point on to get more and more threatening, dangerous, potentially violent. And anybody who doesn't accept that, and then accept the responsibility for being their own provider of safety and security, is just asking, to be a victim. You don't want to do that. I think that this time is going to cause a lot of people also to see the the wisdom behind preparing. So I think it gives us a lot of opportunities. The COVID thing and the lockdowns turned a lot of people into preppers, not what I would call preparedness-minded people or person. PMP, I invented that. If you hear somebody else say it, I invented it. A PMP is a person who makes it a lifestyle. Preparedness-minded person, preparedness-minded people. Other people who just stock, I consider them preppers. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the first step and a good step towards being a PMP, a preparedness-minded person. Okay. But this is a lot of people started becoming kind of preppers during the lockdowns, right? They bought extra toilet paper. They saw what they weren't able to get. They saw the empty shelves. Finally, the wisdom of being prepared started making sense to them. And a lot of people jumped on board. And a lot of them fell off when, the shelves filled up again. But a lot of people took it to heart. And a lot of them continued along with a preparedness mind. I think this situation here is going to do the same thing. That gives us opportunities to kind of share and kind of make more preparedness disciples out of people who will see through these threats the wisdom of it. So use these opportunities. You might, those people in your family or among your friends or your coworkers or whatever, look for opportunities to share your information with them. They can become an important resource for you. They might become a part of your, what I call, circle of friends. That group that is there to support and help each other when the chips are down. Okay. So I think that bad times are coming, and I don't think they're going to leave for quite a while, and I mean years, because this has gotten to the point. When a political division gets so deep, there's really no coming back from it in a peaceful way. It has to blow up, and I think that's what we're seeing here. So think about that. Take care of yourself. Look at the things you think you can improve to establish, an increased level of safety and security for you and your family and anybody who depends on you. And it's going to be an interesting time. Interesting time. I know we'll be talking about it a lot. So remember that. Remember also, before I let you go, the first annual Integrative Preparedness Stonemont get-together gathering this July 13th, Lenexa, Kansas. Go to the stonemont.us website. You go to the events tab, and that'll give the information, and you can register. It doesn't cost anything to come. We just want to know how many are coming, because I have to cut it off at 150 people. And then, so I know how many of these mugs to have printed up. Prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, right? Semper Paratus. That's what I always end this with. And I'm going to add a sidebar to this mug, so I will just love it even more. I look forward to seeing everybody who's coming. It's going to be a fun time. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And put your thinking caps on. See what you're going to do tomorrow, because you're going to live as well tomorrow as you prepared to. No better. You all have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.